My son said, "You're not welcome at Christmas dinner," Karen says. "You make her uncomfortable." So I called my lawyer. I remember the exact moment those words hit me. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the kind of crisp November day, when the leaves outside my kitchen window were doing their final dance before winter. I was standing at the counter, phone pressed to my ear, stirring a pot of butternut squash soup, the same soup I'd made for my son every fall since he was 5 years old. "Mom, are you there?" Derek's voice came through the phone, impatient now. I set the spoon down carefully. My hands weren't shaking. "Not yet." "I'm here," I said. "I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You're saying I'm not invited to Christmas dinner at the house I helped you buy." There was a pause. I could hear Karen in the background, her voice low and urgent, coaching him. "It's not like that," Derek said, but his voice had that rehearsed quality I'd come to recognize over the past 3 years. "Karen just thinks it would be better for everyone if we had a smaller gathering this year. You know, just immediate family. Immediate family. I am his mother. I raised him alone after his father walked out when Derek was 7. I worked double shifts at the hospital for 18 years so he could go to college debt-free. I emptied my retirement savings to help with the down payment on that house 4 years ago. I babysat my granddaughter Lily every weekend for 2 years so Derek and Karen could have their space. But apparently, I'm not immediate family." "I see," I said quietly. "Mom, don't be like that." "Like what?" "You know, dramatic." I almost laughed. Dramatic. That's what Karen called me last Thanksgiving when I mentioned that the turkey was a bit dry. Dramatic. That's what she called me when I offered to help Lily with her homework. Dramatic. That's what she whispered to Derek when I cried at Lily's kindergarten graduation. "I'm not being dramatic, Derek. I'm just trying to understand. Karen feels like you're always judging her. She says she can't relax when you're around. And honestly, Mom, Christmas should be relaxing." I picked up the spoon again and resumed stirring. The soup was starting to bubble. "So this is Karen's decision." "It's our decision. We're a team." I wanted to ask him when that team started excluding his own mother. I wanted to remind him of all the Christmas mornings I'd worked extra shifts just so he could have the presents other kids had. I wanted to tell him that his father said the same thing once. "We're a team, Patricia." And then he left us both for a woman he met at a bowling alley. But I didn't say any of that. I just said, "All right, Derek, if that's what you want." It's not about what I want. It's about what's best for everyone. Of course, after we hung up, I turned off the stove. I wasn't hungry anymore. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, watching the soup go cold. My house was quiet. It's always quiet now. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a backyard where Derek used to catch fireflies in mason jars. I'd kept this house after paying off the mortgage because I thought it would be the gathering place for family holidays. I thought my grandchildren would run through these halls someday, their laughter filling up all the empty spaces. I was 63 years old. I had given everything I had to my son, and now his wife had decided I wasn't family enough to share a meal on Christmas Day. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through every moment I could remember with Karen. Had I really been that difficult? Had I really made her that uncomfortable? I thought about the first time Derek brought her home. She was 24, pretty in that polished way, with perfect nails and a practiced smile. I'd made a roast. She'd picked at it, mentioned she was mostly vegetarian now. I'd apologized, offered to make something else. She'd waved her hand and said it was fine, but I saw the look she exchanged with Derek. I thought about their wedding. I'd offered to help with planning. Karen had smiled tightly and said her mother was handling everything. I showed up the day before to help set up chairs, and Karen's mother looked at me like I was the hired help. At the reception, I was seated at a table near the kitchen, far from the head table where Karen's entire extended family surrounded the bride and groom. I thought about the baby shower. I'd bought a handmade crib quilt, spent weeks stitching it myself. Karen had opened it, glanced at it, and set it aside without comment while she cooed over the designer diaper bag her sister had given her. I thought about all the times I'd bitten my tongue, all the times I'd smiled through the dismissals and the subtle cruelties, all the times I'd told myself it was just a phase, that Karen would warm up to me eventually, that I needed to be patient. I was done being patient. The next morning, I made a phone call. Not to Derek, to my lawyer, Margaret Chen. She's been handling my affairs for 15 years, ever since I started planning for retirement. Patricia, she said warmly, how are you? I need to make some changes to my estate plan. All right. What kind of changes? All of them. I drove to her office that afternoon. Margaret is a small woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense manner. We'd become something like friends over the years, bonding over our shared experience as women who'd built careers in fields where we weren't always welcome. So, she said, closing her office door, tell me what's going on. I told her everything. The phone call, the exclusion, the years of small humiliations I'd swallowed for the sake of keeping peace with my son. Margaret listened without interruption. When I finished, she nodded slowly. What do you want to do? I want to take back what's mine. She raised an eyebrow. Meaning? 4 years ago, I gave Derek $200,000 for the down payment on his house. I have the documentation. It was structured as a loan, remember? You helped me with the paperwork. I remember. A family loan with very favorable terms. No interest, no required payments for the first 5 years. The 5 years are almost up. Margaret's eyes gleamed. They are indeed. I also have been paying for Lily's private school tuition, directly to the school. That's about $22,000 a year. Generous of you. And I revised my will 2 years ago to leave my house to Derek, along with the bulk of my investment portfolio. Everything I have. I remember that too. I took a deep breath. I want to change all of it. We spent the next 3 hours going over everything. The loan documents, which clearly stated that Derek would need to begin making payments in February of next year. The tuition arrangement, which I could discontinue at any time. The will, which could be revised to redirect my assets however I chose. By the time I left Margaret's office, I had a plan, but I didn't act on it immediately. I wanted to give Derek one more chance. Maybe he would call to apologize. Maybe he would realize how hurtful his words had been. Maybe, somehow, we could find our way back to each other. Thanksgiving came and went. I spent it alone, eating a small turkey breast and watching old movies. Derek didn't call, didn't text, nothing. 2 weeks before Christmas, I received a card in the mail. It was from Lily, my granddaughter. She was 9 now, all legs and curiosity, with her father's dark hair and her grandmother's stubborn chin. The card had a hand-drawn Christmas tree on the front, crooked and covered in crayon ornaments. Inside, in careful handwriting, it said, "Dear Grandma, I miss you. Mommy says you're busy this year, but I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I love you. Love, Lily. P.S. I still have the blanket you made me." I sat at my kitchen table and cried. Then I picked up the phone and called Margaret. "I'm ready," I said. "Send the letters." 3 days later, Derek called me. His voice was different now, tight, controlled. "Mom, I just got something from a lawyer's office." "What is this?" "It's a notice regarding the loan I made to you 4 years ago." "Loan? You said that was a gift." "No, Derek. I said I was happy to help. The paperwork clearly states it was a loan that comes due in February. This says I owe you $200,000. "That's correct. I don't have $200,000. "Then I suppose you'll need to refinance your house or sell it. That's between you and your bank." There was a long silence. When Derek spoke again, his voice was shaking. "I can't believe you're doing this." "After everything," I laughed then, a sound that surprised even me. "After everything? Derek, do you hear yourself? I have given you everything. Everything I have. And you told me I wasn't welcome at Christmas because I make your wife uncomfortable. This is different." "How? How is it different?" "You're trying to destroy my family." "No, I'm just no longer funding a family that doesn't include me." "Mom, I'm also discontinuing Lily's tuition payments. The silence this time was absolute. You wouldn't, Derek finally whispered. I already have. I spoke with the school yesterday. The spring semester payment won't be coming from me. If you want Lily to continue at Westbrook Academy, you'll need to pay for it yourselves. That's $20,000. 22, actually. I'm sure you and Karen can figure it out. You're a team, after all. We can't afford, Mom, please. I closed my eyes. This was the moment I'd been dreading, the moment when my son would beg. Part of me wanted to relent, wanted to take it all back, wanted to smooth things over the way I always had. But then I remembered Lily's card. I miss you. Mommy says you're busy this year. They had told my granddaughter I was too busy for her. They had taken my absence and twisted it into my choice. You made this decision, Derek. Not me. You told me I wasn't family. You excluded me from your life. Did you think that would have no consequences? Karen just wanted. I don't care what Karen wants. I care about being treated with basic respect. I care about not being erased from my own family. I care about my granddaughter growing up thinking I don't want to see her. That's not what. Yes, it is. That's exactly what's happening. You told her I was busy. Busy. As if I had something more important to do than spend Christmas with my only grandchild. Derek started to say something, but I cut him off. There's one more thing. I've revised my will. The house and my investments will no longer be going to you. What? I've established a trust for Lily. Everything goes to her, to be managed until she's 25. You and Karen won't see a penny of it. You can't do that. I can do whatever I want with my own assets, Derek. That's what happens when you actually own things instead of relying on your mother to provide them. Mom, please, let's talk about this. Let's sit down and I would have loved to talk about this over Christmas dinner at your house, the one I helped pay for. But apparently, that wasn't an option. The silence stretched between us like a wire pulled tight. Is this really what you want? Derek asked finally. To destroy our relationship over one Christmas? This isn't about one Christmas. This is about years of being treated like an inconvenience. Years of being pushed aside by your wife while you stood by and let it happen. Years of giving and giving and giving while receiving nothing but contempt in return. That's not fair. You're right. It isn't fair. None of this is fair. But life isn't fair, Derek. You taught me that when you chose Karen over me, again and again and again, I never chose. Yes, you did. Every time you let her exclude me. Every time you repeated her words as if they were your own thoughts. Every time you failed to stand up for me. You chose her. And that's your right. She's your wife. But I am your mother, and I am done accepting crumbs from my own child's table. I hung up then. My hands were shaking, but my heart felt strangely light. The next few weeks were chaos. Karen called me twice, her voice swinging between fury and false sweetness. She accused me of trying to manipulate them, of using money as a weapon, of being controlling and vindictive. I listened to her tirade without responding, then simply said, "Goodbye, Karen," and hung up. Derek texted me almost daily, alternating between apologies and accusations. One day, he'd beg me to reconsider. The next, he'd tell me I was being selfish and cruel. I read every message, but I didn't respond to any of them. Then, 3 days before Christmas, Lily called me. "Grandma," my heart cracked at the sound of her voice. "Hi, sweetheart. Grandma, Mommy, and Daddy are really upset. They said you're not going to help us anymore." I gripped the phone tighter. "Lily, honey, this is very complicated. It's grown-up stuff, but I don't understand. Did I do something wrong?" "No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. This isn't about you. Then why won't you come for Christmas?" "I want you to come." I felt tears slipping down my cheeks. "Did your mommy and daddy say I could come?" There was a pause. I heard Karen's voice in the background, sharp and commanding. Then Lily came back on. "Mommy says they need to talk to you first. About the money stuff." Of course that's what this was about. They wanted access to me because they needed my money. Not because they valued my presence, not because they loved me, because I had something they wanted. Lily, I love you very much. You know that, right? I know, Grandma. And no matter what happens between me and your parents, that will never change. Do you understand? I think so. Good girl. Now, can you put your daddy on the phone? There was shuffling, murmured voices, and then Derek's voice came through. Mom, I'll make you a deal, I said. One dinner, tomorrow night, just you, me, and Lily. Not at your house, not at my house, somewhere neutral, a restaurant. What about Karen? Karen isn't invited. Mom, I can't just, those are my terms. Take them or leave them. Another pause. I could practically hear him calculating, weighing his options. Fine, he said finally. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Where? Martinelli's. I'll make the reservation. The next evening, I arrived at the restaurant early. Martinelli's was a small Italian place I'd been going to for 30 years. The owner, Rosa, was an old friend. She'd given me the quiet corner booth I'd requested, the one with the red leather seats and the view of the little garden out back. Derek and Lily arrived at exactly 6. Lily ran to me immediately, throwing her arms around my waist. Grandma, I held her tight, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. Hi, sweet girl. I missed you. I missed you too. So much. Derek stood awkwardly by the table, hands in his pockets. He looked tired, older than his 38 years. Mom, Derek. Sit down, we ordered. Lily chatted happily about school, about her friends, about the art project she was working on. I listened and asked questions and tried to memorize every detail of her face. She had gotten taller since I'd last seen her. Her front teeth had come in. She was becoming a real person, not just a little girl, and I'd been missing it. After the food arrived and Lily was absorbed in her spaghetti, Derek leaned toward me. Mom, can we please talk about this? The loan, the tuition, the will, it's destroying us. Good. He blinked. What? I said, good. Maybe something needs to be destroyed so something better can be built. I don't understand what you want from me. I set down my fork and looked at him directly. I want you to see me. Not as a source of money, not as free babysitting, not as someone to be tolerated and then discarded when it's convenient. I want you to see me as your mother, as someone who has loved you and sacrificed for you and supported you your entire life. I do see you that way. No, you don't. If you did, you never would have let Karen convince you to exclude me from Christmas. You never would have told Lily I was busy. You never would have treated me like a problem to be managed instead of a person to be loved. Derek's jaw tightened. Karen is my wife. I have to support her. And I'm your mother. When did those two things become mutually exclusive? It's not that simple. Yes, it is. It's exactly that simple. Karen doesn't like me. Fine. That's her prerogative. But you have a choice in how you respond to that. You can stand up for me, or you can throw me away. You chose to throw me away. I didn't throw you away. You told me I wasn't welcome at Christmas. With my own family. In the house I helped pay for. You told my granddaughter I was too busy to see her. You erased me, Derek. You made me invisible. He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was rough. I didn't mean for it to be like that. But that's how it was. Karen she has these ideas about boundaries, about nuclear family versus extended family. She thinks, I don't care what Karen thinks. I care about what you think. I care about what you choose. Lily looked up from her spaghetti. Sauce smeared across her chin. Daddy? Grandma? Are you fighting? I reached over and wiped her face with my napkin. No, sweetheart, we're just talking. Grown-up stuff, remember? Oh. She went back to her pasta, satisfied. Derek stared at his plate. What do you want me to do, Mom? Leave my wife? I want you to be honest. With yourself and with me. Do you actually agree with Karen that I'm not welcome in your life? Or have you just been going along with what she wants because it's easier? He didn't answer. But the look on his face told me everything. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You've been so focused on keeping Karen happy that you forgot you have a mother who loves you, who has always been there for you, who would do anything for you, including bankrupting us? I'm not bankrupting you. I'm simply no longer paying for things you can pay for yourself. You have a good job. Karen has a good job. You can afford your mortgage. You can afford Lily's school. You just don't want to. The loan. The loan was always a loan. You knew that. I have the paperwork you signed. I'm willing to work out a payment plan, but the money is owed. Derek pushed his food around his plate. And the will? The will is my business. But I'll tell you this much. Lily is provided for. She will always be provided for. That's not going to change. But Karen and you are adults. You can provide for yourselves. You don't need my money. You've made it very clear you don't need me at all. That's not true. His voice cracked. Mom, that's not true. I do need you. I've been so caught in the middle. Karen is always talking about boundaries and toxic family patterns, and I didn't know how to say no to her. So you said no to me instead. Yes. He looked up, and I saw the boy I'd raised. The boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. The boy who brought me dandelions from the yard and called them flowers. The boy who told me I was the best mom in the whole world. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry, Mom. I reached across the table and took his hand. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I'm sorry I let things get this bad. I'm sorry I used money to make my point instead of using my words. So what do we do now? I squeezed his hand. We start over. But some things have to change. Like what? Like you standing up for me. Not against Karen, but for me. I'm not asking you to choose between us. I'm asking you to make space for both of us in your life. I'm asking you to stop letting her erase me. I can do that. And I want to see Lily regularly. Not just when it's convenient. I want to be part of her life. Okay, yes. And Derek. I waited until he met my eyes. You need to talk to Karen. Really talk to her. About why she feels so threatened by me. Because I'm not going anywhere. And if she can't accept that, your marriage is going to have bigger problems than my loan. He nodded slowly. I know. I've been avoiding that conversation for a long time. Well, now's the time to have it. Lily looked up again, this time with spaghetti sauce on her nose. Is the grown-up talk over? Can we get dessert? Derek and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. It was the first real laugh we'd shared in years. Yes, sweetheart, I said. We can get dessert. After dinner, Lily hugged me tight and made me promise to come to her school play in January. I promised. Derek hugged me too, longer than he had in years. I love you, Mom, he said quietly. I love you too. Always. I drove home in the dark, the Christmas lights of my neighborhood twinkling through my windshield. When I got inside, I made myself a cup of tea and sat in my favorite chair by the window. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Karen and I are going to talk tonight. It might get ugly, but I'll call you tomorrow. Thank you for not giving up on me. I smiled and typed back. I will never give up on you, but I will also never let you treat me like I don't matter. That's the deal from now on. He sent back a heart emoji, the first one he'd ever sent me. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There were hard conversations ahead, with Karen, with Derek, maybe with lawyers and banks. The loan was still owed, the will was still changed, the trust for Lily was still in place. But something had shifted. My son had finally seen me, not as a resource to be used, but as a person to be loved. It had taken almost losing everything for him to open his eyes, but he had opened them, and I had learned something too. I had learned that my worth wasn't determined by how much I gave or how much I sacrificed. I had learned that boundaries weren't selfish. I had learned that standing up for myself wasn't the same as giving up on my family. I was 63 years old. I had spent decades putting everyone else first, and I had finally realized that I deserved to be first sometimes too. Christmas morning, I woke up to a knock on my door. When I opened it, Lily was standing on my porch with a wrapped present in her hands. Behind her, Derek stood with his hands in his pockets, looking nervous. "Merry Christmas, Grandma," Lily shouted. "Merry Christmas, sweetheart." I looked at Derek. "Where's Karen?" "At home. We talked last night. She knows I'm here. She's not happy about it, but she understands. And we have a lot of work to do on our marriage. But I told her that you're my mother and you're not going anywhere, and she needs to find a way to live with that." I felt tears prick my eyes. "Come inside, both of you. I'll make pancakes." As I watched my son and granddaughter settle into my kitchen, as I pulled out the mixing bowls and the flour and the chocolate chips Lily loved, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like I was home. And more importantly, I felt like I mattered. That's all I ever wanted. Not the money or the gratitude or even the apologies. Just to matter, to be seen, to be loved. And finally, at 63 years old, I had found a way to demand exactly that. If you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, if you've given everything to your family only to be pushed aside, if you've swallowed your pain to keep the peace, if you've wondered whether you're worth more than what you can provide, I want you to know something. You are worth more. You are worth so much more. And it's never too late to stand up for yourself. It's never too late to draw a line. It's never too late to say, "This is who I am. This is what I deserve. And I will no longer accept anything less." Thank you for listening to my story. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, you matter too.